All right, so we have one of our newest students on today, Mr. Spencer. So, Spencer, would you do me a favor and just introduce yourself, where you're from, and your occupation?
Sure, Arturo. Thanks for having me on today. It's an honor and a privilege to be speaking. Um, I'm Spencer Calhoun. I'm from Indianapolis area in Indiana. I'm a former teacher, and basically, I've gotten into insurance because, unfortunately, I was kind of forced out of the business a little bit. Um, as crazy as it may seem, I was kind of looking to do something else anyway. But I've always been involved with coaching and taught math for 20 some years, about 22, I believe, and just always was a person who liked to help people progress and move forward with whatever they were doing.
Awesome. And so, let's talk a little bit about that. What do you mean by you kind of forced out of the business?
Um, I don't know if they felt like, fortunately, I taught at a school that um, it basically was a representation of the world. Basically, you have kids from all demographics, all socioeconomic backgrounds, and over the past 5 years I taught, we went through many different administrators, principals, and I just felt a little bit that things were on a kind of a downward trend in a sense. My schedule load, as far as the kids I taught, was always kind of being pushed down to the bottom of the barrel. I was one of the few minority teachers in there with a lot of minorities in the building. Um, it just got pushed down that way. I always tried to support the kids, but didn't get the support back that I needed to allow the kids to have some responsibility in what they were doing. And that's basically what I mean by the push down effect. And I just wanted to be a person of value and be a person who was uh, making things happen and seeing progress. That's just my motif in life. I like to see things being done and progress being made.
Awesome.
So
Awesome. Yeah. And so, well, what made you choose, the life insurance industry?
that's an interesting story. I looked at a few different avenues, and my best friend, he sold some insurance for a little bit. One of the big captive companies in the country. We're not going to throw names out there, but they're very well known for all three facets of insurance. And he's mainly a golf instructor. He was doing that to give some time back to his family. But eventually got out of it. But he saw the value in helping people with life insurance along the way. So he ended up going to another place and then a third place. And along the way, he knew I was trying to do some things. So the last company he's still with, as a matter of fact, and not even the IMO I'm with, but he's independent because he still likes to write on the side. But we were just chatting one day, and I was like, man, I got to figure out what my next move is. And he's like, you should look at life insurance. And I thought about it and I didn't do anything right away. But then as things started to tumble with COVID and all the stuff happening in 2019, 2020, um, I had a little time to sit and think back and saw a few things and decided that was probably the best route for me. In between that time, I said I'd done a few things, looked at a few things. I'd also looked at the being a financial advisor for one of the major financial services company out there as well. And went through all that process. Everything was great, and I got to the last point where they do the day in the life, and felt like they threw me off the cliff a little bit.
Gotcha.
So I was a little bit, a little saddened by what happened because they were like, "Yeah, you're doing great," all this all along the way, but that's basically what happened. So I've always felt that need to be that as a former teacher. I've always sat and saw the pieces of um, trying to find something else to supplement my retirement income. Along the way, I found out that teachers pretty much retire, most of them retire to 60 to 75% of the income they made while they were teaching. And so that was a concern for me as well. So I was always looking to find something else to create more income. So here we are with life insurance.
Awesome. Awesome. Great, great, great story. And so, how long you been in the business now?
I been in the business. Let's see, I got licensed in August 31st, 2020. And never sold anything in my life before. And like I said, I started with my best friend's IMO, and things were just kind of archaic there. They were like, just plug into the system, plug into the system. But I could never find the system. It's funny. So I was looking over here to check this uh, email, check this PDF, and I was just like, this is kind of crazy. And so I had someone reach out to me with a little bit better situation, and it was better all the way around. So for myself, so I jumped on board with that.
Awesome,
And
awesome.
so that was about end of October. Um, and he actually helped me with a bunch of things and ended up selling my first policy with them in November. So basically, officially at the end of October, I would say.
Awesome. And so, what's kind of your why and why you do what you do? This kind of a, it's a great fulfilling business, but it is tough at times.
Yeah.
And so, you got to have
hmm
something in order to get you out of bed and keep you fired up. So, what's kind of that motivating thing that you use, or your story, or what's the reason why you want to help so many people?
Man, just I'm just kind of a people person, and I know one of the biggest things that I found out with how life insurance can help people progress in life. I actually had the fortunate pleasure of hearing Ray Lewis speak at a conference, and one of the things that really jugged me and kind of kept me going and gave me that extra feather in my cap to keep moving was he said just $10,000 could help a family in so many ways if one of the main parents or pieces of the family passed away. And so that's what kind of gets me out of bed every day, just trying to help people not fall victim to poor circumstances when it didn't have to. Obviously, I have a young son too, so I want to make sure we do things to put him in places he'd like to be and not have his lifestyle kind of limited, to be able to take him on trips and places I didn't get to go as well. So just to, he's just the joy of my life. So I just do everything I can for that. And yeah, that's just my life, man. I just love helping people and keeping things moving and being progressive. So
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And so, just curious on how did you come across us? How did you find Arturo Johnson Consulting?
I think I saw you first on a Facebook ad, and it was with both of the two situations I was in, the previous and the second one, it was like, here, get a bunch of leads, call these leads. And the first company I was with, the leads were a year to 2 years old. So you're calling, it's just like, yeah, they're old, but it's a good way to learn how to talk on the phone and those kinds of things. So it was fine. I never really sat and dialed the phone, but just trying to get my language right and those kinds of things along the way was good. When I got with the second company, the leads were a little bit fresher. The way that we got them, that was it was all myself. I could use any lead house I wanted to, and those kinds of things. But what I found out is not all the leads were very receptive, and you would get. I would sit down and do a dial day, and I'd be on the phone 8 to 10 hours, and I may with those leads talk to 15 people. And of those 15, only 3 to 5 are actually looking. So at the end of a 10-hour day, I had 3 to 5 appointments, and that's not quite what we were looking for.
Got it.
So I think I saw your ad on Facebook, I believe, and saw it. And then I ran across Earl's. This is a funny story. I ran across Earl's on Instagram, and I'm like, wait, that Arturo is not a common name, but why do we have two different people with the same name? So I was a little skeptical. I think I found that in December. And then eventually I just waited a couple months. So I was always trying to reach out and learn more about you. And then I ended up going to YouTube, I think, and saw Earl, and he actually said his name. So I was like, oh, okay. But Earl was speaking to me in one of the videos he made. Are you tired of dial day? Are you tired of calling the leads and not getting the responses, getting porched and all that stuff? How about you find a system where the leads come to you? And I was like, that's what I've been trying to say and find for myself the whole time. That's just right on my alley. So I plugged in and got some more information, and here we are.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, I know you only been in the program a little bit, but let's talk about because I noticed that you had a quick win real quick. So just kind of talk through that, and then some of the things that you were looking for as far as like your experience just being in there so far.
Yeah. So my once we got the system in place, um, and got it turned on. Unfortunately, I didn't have it all the way right. I actually used your mom's photo in my first lead ad. but it generated some leads. And the first person that popped on the uh, lead sheet, I didn't have my Zapier set up yet either, but they actually set their own appointment. So I did get a Calendly message that said, "Hey, you have an appointment on Thursday at 3 o'clock." And so I hopped on the phone a little bit early just to make sure that that was valid. I think on like the Wednesday, because they set it for 2 days out. So I called them a day ahead and just made sure that it was a valid appointment, make sure everything was good. And we sat there and we chatted at 3, got some personal information. And I'll tell you, I had a blunder in it too. So I left out 2 questions, and those were on that initial call when I sat at the 3 o'clock meeting: is what's your height and what's your weight? Because everything kind of matched up for the person to they're 62 years old and the husband was 66. I know she possibly qualified for an IUL. And so we went over to do some signature work and found out she was at the top of the table rating height weight scale. So I was like, oh. So unfortunately, we didn't qualify for that, but we did get her the Living Promise uh, whole life policy there.
Gotcha. Yeah. And so that was one of your first leads turned into a fully automated booked appointment. So what was that feeling
Yes.
though? Right? Where you're like, wait a minute, wait a minute, did I just get it a automated booked appointment? It's like it seems like it's kind of surreal for a second, right? Because you said you called to make sure that it was real, right? So kind of tell me what that feeling was like seeing something just pop on there.
Well, once again, that comes from my little prior experiences, of being porched and those kinds of things. So I'm a person that really, really likes to be efficient with my time because I am very busy. So, like I said, I have an 11-year-old son who's very, very active. I'm a single dad. He lives with me. So trying to make sure his life, is moving forward and not being held up, and I have him in all the right places. Take some time along with, trying to work my business at the same time. So that's that piece. And then, yeah, just so I wanted to make sure that this was actually going to be a real appointment and I wasn't sitting around waiting for myself due to the things that I've done in the past of being porched, driving an hour, going to 4 appointments and no one's really looking, and I thought I did a good job of qualifying them ahead of time, but, unfortunately it doesn't work that way. So, yeah, so that's what really happened. So when the person sat the appointment, I was like, good. We got on the Zoom. I was like, cool, everything's good. Got all the information. And then I was just like, yeah, it's a real appointment. I'm doing what I normally do at that point.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so so let's kind of transition to that because a lot of agents probably see this and people that may look like your story may want to follow you and maybe want to join your organization and those things.
Right.
So, what do you say? Because we live in a world of skepticism, and you said you were kind of skeptical too, right? So, what do
Yeah.
you say to those people that are kind of taking a look at it, maybe the same way you were, kind of on the fence, but they're really kind of looking for something, where they can make it more personalized, use their own story, and really have kind of this attraction thing where people are actually kind of reaching out to them, and you're not really having to do a ton of the things that you were saying before.
Well, I've heard some things. Life insurance is actually a simple business, but it's never easy. If it were, everyone would be doing it, right? So it's more of you just understanding of how to work through the lead system that whatever you choose to do and that you have, and just stick with it. Stay persistent, and you'll find the people that are actually looking. And I'm with a great IMO, and once again, our whole philosophy is just make sure you're taking care of the client first. Don't worry about what the AP is or any of that. Make sure you're getting that client exactly what they need, and everything else will take care of itself. So, once again, that's just who I am as a person. I like to make sure I'm honest and upfront with everybody, just to keep everything streamlined and simple. I don't like to hide things and those kinds of things. So, yeah, that's just how I like to do things and how I like to run things.
Awesome, awesome. Well, yeah. Well, thank you so much for hopping on. We just want to celebrate you for getting your one of many, as we, because I can just feel that this is just the beginning for you, and I see you can kind of see where this can kind of go. But we just want to hop on really quickly and celebrate that one win and to kind of hear your story, because I think that people, kind of being in that same position that you're in, where it's like teachers are like, man, I'm kind of stuck, I'm burnt out. Lesson planning and doing this. I'm spending 60 hours, schools asking, requiring more of me, and I feel trapped, right? And
Yes.
sometimes they may need an opportunity, an outlet, and who else to understand them and somebody else besides you that have been in their shoes, right? So definitely excited about that. Definitely grateful for having you to be a part of this program. So thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate it. Okay.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you.
My pleasure. Take care.
All right.